Hello everyone, this is Serious Trivia, and welcome back to part 2 of our Taming of the Shu series, titled The Yi Province. Last time, we ended our episode as Sun Quan, fearful of Liu Bei's rapid expansion in the southern Jin province, offered to set up a political marriage between Liu Bei and his own younger sister Lady Sun, despite nearly 30 years age gap. As the marriage was secondary to the political alliance, Liu Bei traveled to Jinkou, deep into the Wu territory, to discuss the details of their alliance with Sun Quan in person. During this meeting, Sun Quan discussed his desires to expand west toward the Yi province, which was currently held by Liu Zhang, who is a fellow royalty kinsman, distantly related to Liu Bei. Now, Sun Quan's interest in the Yi province stems from Lu Su's grand plan for Wu of creating a north and south divide as a means to resist and one day defeat Cao Cao. This plan obviously overlaps with Zhuge Liang's plan for Liu Bei of taking the Jin and Yi provinces to divide the country into 3. So why does everyone want the Yi province? To answer that question, we can look at the map here. We can see that the Yi province, which covers the ancient kingdoms of Shu and Ba, is located in what is now known as the Sichuan Basin, a fertile plain nourished by many rivers flowing from the surrounding mountain ranges into the Yangtze River that makes up its southern borders. Now, not only are the farmlands here fertile, the numerous mountain ranges that encircle the entire Yi province are also rich in minerals, salt, and iron. Aside from the abundance of the land, the Yi province is also extremely easy to defend, thanks to its geography, as Basin is surrounded on all sides by mountains. From the north, the Shu Dao, or the roads of Shu, that were first built in the early days of the kingdom of Qin, by chiseling holes into the mountainside and placing wooden planks into these holes as steps to form a floating roadway, traversing along the mountain's path. Therefore, with limited options to move armies and supplies, the northern routes into the Yi province is largely limited to roads from Hanzhong that has to cross the Baishui, or White River, and along this river valley in the mountain lies 3 gate passes in Baishui Guan, Jiameng Guan, and Jiange. Then to the east, the only way into the Bashu lands is through the Yangtze River, and the choke point of Baidi Castle, which is a large peninsula at a narrow point in the river, acts as the gatekeeper for the Yi province. Now, Baidi Castle will also become the place of Liu Bei's death eventually, but if you go visit today, it's actually just a small island on the Yangtze River, as the construction of the Three Gorges Dam farther downstream has risen the water levels and submerged large part of the city in the past. And from the pictures you can see here of before and after the construction of the dam, it's pretty clear why this was such a great and formidable fortress capable of shutting down the waterway access into the Yi province. And as a final added bonus, everyone, including Liu Zhang's own official, believed that Liu Zhang was a weak lord, and thus the Yi province was ripe for the taking. So as part of this marriage and alliance with Liu Bei, Sun Quan wanted to conduct a joint attack against the Yi province with Liu Bei, leading this attack. Thinking this over, Liu Bei initially resisted this idea, as he was concerned that attacking such a defensible position would be very costly, and Sun Quan clearly wanted Liu Bei and Liu Zhang to fight it out until both are weak, in order to sweep in and take the prize for himself. But at the same time, Liu Bei felt like he cannot refuse Sun Quan, as this wedding trip could quickly turn into a prison stay if the alliance negotiations go south. So after discussing the matter with his advisor Ying Guan suggested that they could agree to the agreement first, and when they return back to the Jin province, they can simply not launch the attack, using the excuse that they needed time to establish control in the newly acquired lands in the southern Jin province, and delay the assault. And with them holding on to the Jin province and thus control of the Yangtze River, Wu would not dare to launch their own solo assault on the Yi province, as their supply line would be difficult to sustain and at the mercy of Liu Bei. So at the very least, the fate of the Yi province would be in their hands, as they can afford to wait for a more suitable opportunity instead of being dictated by Sun Quan. Delighted with this plan, Liu Bei went back to Sun Quan and explained that since he and Liu Zhang are both related to the royal bloodline, it saddens him that Liu Zhang's incapable rule has led to this. And while he was not opposed to helping Sun Quan replace Liu Zhang, he only wishes that Sun Quan could show mercy to Liu Zhang and allow him to live in the aftermath, or else he wouldn't be able to face his ancestors and have to live a hermit life in the woods to redeem himself. And as a final note, Liu Bei also demanded that Sun Quan lend the Nan commandery to him so that he can use the land to stage the necessary attack against the Yi province. Now, at first, Sun Quan was unsure about lending Liu Bei the land that Zhou Yu almost gave up his life to win over. But at the same time, gaining Liu Bei as an ally in the attack against the Yi province would prove invaluable. So after discussing this with his own court, there were two schools of thought. One group, led by Yu Fan and Zhou Yu, believed that Liu Bei is much more of a threat than an ally, and they should use this opportunity when Liu Bei is alone here in the Wu land to imprison him before attacking and absorbing Liu Bei's holdings in the Jin province. From there, they can plan their own assault against the Yi province. Countering this proposal was Lu Su, who favored Liu Bei as an ally, and suggested that the Nan commandery is an isolated region, far away from their main holdings in Wu. It directly borders Cao Cao's forces in the north, and the local populace does not acknowledge their rule. Holding it would be costly for them, and going to war right now against Liu Bei would only serve to benefit Cao Cao. Instead, if we lend the Nan commandery to Liu Bei, then Cao Cao would become Liu Bei's problem, and Liu Bei would owe us in the future. And after weighing both sides, Sun Quan agreed with Lu Su. And when news of this reached Cao Cao, it was recorded that Cao Cao was so shocked that Liu Bei and Sun Quan managed to maintain their alliance in the aftermath of Chibi, to the point where Sun Quan would actually lend Liu Bei land that he dropped his brush while writing a letter upon hearing this. So, with the alliance cemented and the marriage complete, Liu Bei returns to Gong'an. But just as a side note, the marriage to Lady Sun would not be a happy one, as Lady Sun was a very difficult person to live with, as she had grown up spoiled by her brothers as the little sister in a powerful and military-focused clan. She had armed handmaid guards travel with her everywhere she went, and nothing but trouble followed her as she would get into fights and arguments with everyone in the city, to the point where Liu Bei ended up building her a smaller second city just for her to live in, so that there may be some peace and quiet in Gong'an. And not only was the marriage not a happy ending, the alliance would sour quickly too, as it quickly became apparent that Liu Bei had no intentions of launching the assault on the Yi province. While this frustrated Sun Quan, Zhou Yu was actually delighted, as now they didn't have to give over the Nan commandery, and he was always confident that he could take the Yi province himself. So after recovering from his arrow wound in 210, he requested to lead the attack on the Yi province, and Sun Quan would approve. But on the return trip back to his army camps in Jiangling, Zhou Yu would fall ill, and had to stop at Baqiu to seek aid. However, Zhou Yu would not recover from his illness, as he would die soon, at the age of 36. Now, with Zhou Yu's passing, his duties and a personal army of 4,000 were all transferred over to Lu Su on Zhou Yu's own recommendation. But unlike Zhou Yu, Lu Su still believed in the alliance with Liu Bei, and thus all plans for the solo attack on the Yi province was scrapped, and the Nan commandery was handed over to Liu Bei. Then in the following year, in 211, Liu Bei's opportunity would finally arrive, as Liu Zhang would actually extend an invitation for Liu Bei to come to the Yi province to help protect him from a potential attack by Zhang Lu. Now, to explain how this out-of-the-blue invitation came about, we have to rewind back to before the Battle of Chibi. You see, in 207, when Cao Cao took over the Jin province following Liu Chong's surrender, Liu Zhang, along with many regional warlords, felt that unification was imminent. So he attempted to reach out to Cao Cao ahead of time to express his loyalty, as he would end up sending his advisor Zhang Song to make contact with Cao Cao. Now, Zhang Song was a Chengdu local, known for being short, ugly, and ill-mannered. Zhang Song made up for his shortcomings, though, with his administrative talent as he rose through the ranks, but he always felt slighted and secretly believed that his appearance was holding him back from greater things. Especially working under a weak lord such as Liu Zhang, he felt like his talent can't shine. So when he was sent as a diplomat to meet Cao Cao, Zhang Song had plotted to jump ship as he felt his talent would be actually recognized and valued by someone as great as Cao Cao. But by the time Zhang Song had reached Cao Cao in the Jin province in 208, he ended up being ignored. Despite being recommended by Yang Xiu, Cao Cao refused to even meet with Zhang Song. Infuriated that he was being slighted again, Zhang Song vowed to prove everyone wrong, as he would soon return to Liu Zhang and explain that Cao Cao was not a suitable ally, and that they should instead ally themselves with Liu Bei, who was popular with the people. So in 211, when Cao Cao's intention to attack Zhang Lu and absorb Hanzhong became apparent, Liu Zhang became quite concerned that Zhang Lu might actually opt to surrender and join Cao Cao instead. And given his poor relationship with both Zhang Lu and Cao Cao, it was likely that Cao Cao's next steps would be to attack the Yi province. And thus, it was at this moment that Zhang Song suggested that they can rely on Liu Bei, who had successfully resisted Cao Cao once at Chibi, to come to their aid, as he offered himself and his friend Fa Zheng as diplomats to convince Liu Bei to come help defend the Yi province. Little did Liu Zhang know, Zhang Song was not only going to invite Liu Bei into Shu, but also going to sell him on the plan to steal Shu from Liu Zhang from the inside out. Now there were those in Liu Zhang's court who sensed the danger of inviting Liu Bei into Shu, as advisor Huang Quan would actually warn that Liu Bei was simply too ambitious to work under Liu Zhang, and since a country cannot have two kings, Liu Bei's arrival would endanger them all. But Liu Zhang did not listen, as he went ahead and approved Zhang Song's plan and offered to give Fa Zheng and him 4,000 troops as a gift to Liu Bei in order to convince him to come to their aid. Seeing their lord's mistake, Huang Quan went to the extremes, as he stood atop of the city wall, threatening to hang himself from the city gates if Liu Zhang went ahead with his invitation to Liu Bei. Not going to be threatened by his own officials, Liu Zhang ignored Huang Quan, as he would personally send off Zhang Song and Fa Zheng. And true to his word, Huang Quan leaped off the city wall with a rope tied around his neck as he hung himself in protest. And with that, we're going to end our episode here, as we'll continue next time with Liu Bei's arrival in the Yi province. So hopefully you all enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!